So over the past 2 days, we've covered two different types of DLC that came with the whole DLC season for Resident Evil 7. First off, we did the bedroom DLC, which is personally my favourite of the DLC we got given in terms of like the story content. I kind of love the puzzle aspect of it, and I think it's really interesting how they did it in a way where you had to memorise everything. Like it wasn't just a, I've done this bit, I can continue, because you had to memorise where everything went if you were like Marguerite, which was super cool. And then we moved on to the Nightmare DLC yesterday, which was kind of like the more resource management focused DLC. I mentioned briefly in these videos that each of the DLCs seems to kind of have a certain element from the Resident Evil series that it focuses on primarily, with the first one being the puzzle kind of aspect, and the second one being the resource management kind of aspect. But this one, this is the Daughters DLC, and there's a lot going on with this one. As brief as it is, I can kind of explain all in this video quite easily. But with this one, the focus is purely on the horror. Yes, there's kind of some figuring out going on. It's not massively puzzly, it's just finding the right things in the right places. But it's a purely horror-focused DLC. Very brief, depending on how kind of well you are at figuring the stuff out. The footage in the background is of the good ending of the DLC. There is a bad ending, which is kind of almost not avoidable if you kind of rush it, because you'll miss like 2 or 3 important things that will ruin the ending. But very horror-focused DLC. You do not play as Clancy in this DLC, so it is a story-focused DLC. We'll get into what it is and what we're tasked with doing right now. But if you like this DLC, do let me know down below in the comments. If you think this is the best one, let me know. If you think it's the weakest, if you think it's just okay, let me know. If you're interested in more Resident Evil content, I upload every single day and stream all weekends. Could be anything at the weekends really. This weekend, just a little brief update. This weekend I'll be back to Village, doing Village streams this weekend. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. So the Daughters DLC essentially acts as a prequel to the events of the main game. As a brief rundown of the story, it is when the boat is first found in the bayou and Jack goes to find Mia, and he then returns with someone else, being Evelyn. You control Zoe at this point in the game. If you don't know, Zoe kind of throughout the entire game, the main game, she's trying her best to avoid them all, because yes, she is some kind of influenced by Evelyn, but she's not quote-unquote infected. Like, she can kind of have free will, more of her own kind of thought. And when Ethan turns up, obviously she wants help to kind of remove the infection completely from her body so she can get away. And obviously, you know, the canon ending of the game is that Mia and Ethan get away and Ethan chooses Mia. And at the end of Zoe DLC, her uncle comes to find her and save her, you know, once and for all. And we'll get into the end of Zoe DLC at some point later in the week. That is on the agenda for the week, so we'll cover that too. But yeah, this is a prequel to the events of the game. So really, in the DLC you get to experience what happens to the rest of her family through Zoe's eyes. So you see kind of Marguerite get infected, and then later on it's Jack. You kind of see Lucas get dragged away, but you don't really see what happens to him. Obviously Lucas has a whole kind of story arc throughout the game and through the Chris DLC, which we'll be again going over in this week. But I gotta say, it is genuinely quite spooky, and it is nice to get this kind of extra layer of the game where you see what happened before the events of the game. I really like how most of the DLC is like that, obviously with the whole Clancy sections of the game, because we obviously know in the main game, he is dead at that point. Like, you find him later on, he's a crispy body on a chair. So he does not get away. But I like how the DLC kind of did this with showing you what these characters went through before the events of the game. And this is definitely not an exception. Now in terms of gameplay aspect of the DLC, there's not much to really say, other than the fact that you have to find certain items and avoid enemies, well, avoid your family at a certain point throughout the course of the DLC. And that's really it. There is obviously a method on how to get the good ending, and the bad ending is, honestly, the bad ending, if you kind of play the game and kind of work with the things it gives you, that's the bad ending. Like, it's really weird like that. And obviously, you know, if you do it first time through completely blind, you know, you will kind of follow the lead of the DLC, and then you'll probably get the bad ending, and then when you do it again, you'll kind of know, okay, so don't do this time, because it does kind of give you like an end of DLC kind of message if you do it wrong, saying, oh, you could have done this time, try again, you did this wrong or something. It doesn't tell you what you did, but it says the path you took Zoe down was incorrect, basically. So it does give you an option to kind of go back in and go, right, what did I do the first time that I probably shouldn't have done? And when I remember doing this for the first time ever, it took me 3 to 4 attempts to figure out where everything was and what to do. So it definitely does kind of keep you on your toes and gives you kind of a extra length in the DLC to kind of figure out what you need to do and how to get the good ending. But yeah, overall there's not much left to add to the video. It's a very condensed DLC. There's not much of a kind of a gameplay element you need to be aware of. It's just a story kind of experience, to be honest. It is very trial and error on getting it right, so it might take you a couple of attempts to get the proper ending and figure out exactly where everything is and where you need to go and what you need to do. Because to get the real ending, you have to do something that's kind of out of order. Again, the gameplay in the background is me getting the true ending, so if you haven't done it before and you want to follow this, then what I'll do is when this video ends and I've finished talking, I'll leave the full run of this going so you know what you need to do. Again, I would encourage you not to watch this part and just kind of go in blind, and if you can't figure it out then by all means use the end. But these things are best experienced when you do them firsthand, rather than watching a guide on how to do them. I've never really looked up a guide on how to do things in a Resident Evil game, unless I've already beat the game. Because that way, it's like, oh, I forgot what this is, let me just look up what this is, because I've beat the game, so it doesn't really count. But yeah, I really recommend you play this DLC if you haven't already. Again, just to remind everyone, if you do have a PlayStation 5, Resident Evil 7 is free for you. It doesn't have any DLC, but the game is completely free. And I really recommend you play it if you haven't already. I'd imagine you have if you're watching this video, because it's a DLC video. And if you haven't played it already and you are watching this video, you're lucky I'm just doing a DLC about the prequel to the game, because, oh boy. Luckily, they're all like that, so watching any of the videos so far, it's not going to ruin much. But nevertheless, I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on the DLC down below. I would love to hear them. Tomorrow we'll be covering... I believe it's Ethan Must Die. Interesting DLC to say the least, and oh boy is it great. But that's for tomorrow. Then we'll move on to Night Hero. Then I was going to do 21 and Jack's 55th, but they're their own thing, and it's not really kind of... it's not much to really go into about it, because they're kind of mini-games. Ethan Must Die is a mini-game, but it's a lot more in-depth than those two, so I'm obviously going to cover that. And then after that will be End of Zoe, and then that's basically it for the DLC for this game. But yeah, I love it all. I think it's great. Like I've said a million times over, Resident Evil 7 and its DLC is an absolute masterpiece. I think the game is brilliant. Some people would disagree with me, and that's understandable, but I think RE7 is a brilliant game, and the DLC that it got was just perfection. So this is kind of like the level ground. This is what you need to compete with when they make the RE8 DLC. I would love a few DLCs for Resident Evil 8 that just kind of follow a different tone. Like one could be an action based, one could be a horror based, one could be puzzles, you know, just like this. Like it's such a good formula, and it works so well that what's stopping them from doing this, you know? But either way, I hope you all enjoyed, and like I said, I'll leave the rest of the footage playing out now so that you can follow it if you really need to. If not, then that's fine. You can just click on the video when I finish talking. But yeah, I just wanted to get this one out there. And again, it's kind of if you haven't done it before, then by all means, finish watching the footage and you'll have a kind of full guide on what to do. It's basically near the end now anyway. But thank you for watching. As always, leave a like if you enjoy, leave comments on your thoughts on the DLC down below, and be sure to subscribe if you are new for more Resident Evil content and streams. Again, upload every day, stream every weekend, so it's quite a lot of fun. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for a brand new video.
I gotta get out of here. can't be real.
Sister.
I think I fell asleep.
Well, well, now look who has decided to join us.
Wake up and smell the shitty coffee, Zoe.
Lucas.
You okay, dear? There was a lot of excitement from that storm last night.
I'm fine. I had the weirdest dream last night. There was this little girl.
Well, now, after breakfast, Lucas and I are going to have a look around and see if the storm did any damage. You two should have a look around the house.
That's a good idea, Jack. You remember the last hurricane? We thought we were lucky, and the next time it rained, there was a mess for sure.
Hello, sister.